All right, what is up, everyone? Oh my God, that was an amazing movie. There was so much going on, so much to unpack. That starting was just beautiful. I was shocked, but kind of happy that they started off that way. It made sense as they went further on through the movie. And I'm really glad that that's the route they decided to take with that beginning because it really helped to move the movie forward and kind of um, get us more into everything. All right. So, as we are talking today, there will be some spoilers. There will be some stuff that we end up talking about that might kind of um, upset some people. It also might make some people happy, all depending on how you feel about everything. But I think we can all agree that that movie definitely ticked the boxes that we needed it to tick. Um, I think that it really was able to get us involved in a phenomenal experience post COVID, first movie that's truly in theaters, and the first Marvel movie for 2021. I mean, how else can you? There's no other way to spin it, I guess, is the best way to put it. So, anyways, as we continue to get in, I always like to do a couple shout outs, a couple plugs to people. So I'll always do that. First of all, Rhinos, thank you so much. They were at the Empire Comic Fest that I went to yesterday. Empire Comic Fest, huge shout out to you guys. That was absolutely amazing. It was my first kind of Comic Con, even though it wasn't really a Comic Con. It was more a festival, a bunch of people coming together. There's some really awesome stuff. That's going to be a video coming up this week. I'm going to do one video on all the artwork that we bought, and then another video on the books that I got. So those are going to be some really awesome videos. I'm looking forward to those. And Rhinos is my local comic shop that I support week in and week out, every new comic book day, because Chet's just an amazing guy. He is the godfather of comics and truly does awesome work in the industry. And of course, as always, I want to give a quick shout out to Retro Recollectibles, who was also at that event yesterday. Retro Recollectibles, run by Mike. He does comic pressing and all of that fun stuff, and it's just absolutely amazing work that he does. He's the whole reason why the book that I raffled off not too long ago, I want to say back in December, the first appearance of Omega Red, went from being about a 9 to a 9.8. We were very concerned that it was going to be even an 8.5, but pressed it out and it turned out minty fresh. And then I gave it away to you guys because, in all honesty, it was one of those ones that didn't fit my collection that well. I now have another Omega Red in my collection. So it ended up kind of coming full circle. But it was awesome. It was fun to kind of give that away and talk to you guys about it and enjoy that experience of having something so great. So let's go right into it. As I said, first thing, my Black Widow reaction. So every piece of this movie, besides one small detail that I will get into later on, was amazing. I loved every minute of it. The action was on point. The scenes were on point. I loved the jailbreak scene. Everything just kind of, like I said, it ticked those boxes that you needed to tick in a spy thriller like that. And that's what it was. It was a callback, in my opinion, to Captain America Winter Soldier, where we got to see Black Widow kind of on the run, but also trying to do this whole new thing. And I actually found it really funny that all the Dominic Toretto memes kind of happened at this time, because you get to see the family vibe and then right after was Cruella, which was another family vibe movie. And it was so funny to kind of have all of that culminated into one, and just some really fun stories in those two movies. So we went to go see it at the drive-in last night, and that experience immediately makes it a point up on my bar. So I gave it an 8.5 when I was talking to my buddies, and when I was talking to the guys on our group chat. I said, dude, it's an 8.5 all day long. There's one thing that takes a point off of it for me, and then there's another, that other half point is kind of minor. That's why I didn't take a full point off. And again, I'll get into that in my review of it shortly, but straight up reaction, I love that it didn't have a foothold on the MCU. And I love that I was able to kind of dive into it and say, you know what, this isn't going to be a major movie for the MCU. That's awesome. And I feel like that's what a lot of DC fans have been saying lately, is that Marvel doesn't do enough solo films. And yes, you can say immediately, well, Shang-Chi solo, Eternals are solo, kind of. Iron Man was a trilogy of solo films. Captain America was a trilogy, or not really a trilogy. It was 2 movies of solo films. Thor, the first movie, was a solo film. Even the second movie was really a solo film. Hulk was a solo film. But they all moved the MCU forward. That's why Thor 2, even though I didn't love it, no one really did that I've ever talked to. No one I've ever met has given it higher than like a 6 or 7 out of 10. But I would definitely say that every single MCU movie has pushed a story forward. Even the Hulk movie, which was trash in my opinion, it had some good merits. It's, again, even though I wouldn't say that it's gonna be a 7 out of 10, which is my kind of cutoff for good movie rating, I can say that the movie's great and it can still be a 7, is basically what I'm saying. I can say that a good movie is a 6. Most movies that I would say are 6s. Most Marvel movies are 8 or higher, honestly, because they tick those boxes for us. They deliver that fan service. The Red Guardian scene where he's literally just defeating guy after guy, showing off the super soldier serum and whatnot, and kind of having that who's bigger argument about Captain America and him, really shows his ego. And that's what I kind of liked. It was interesting to see those dynamics. But yeah, so my immediate reaction right when the movie finished, I was like, this was amazing. This really just was exactly what I was expecting it to be. It was the perfect way for the MCU Phase 4 to kick off. And I remember watching that opening scene. I'm like, yes, that is how you start a phase. Iron Man did a beautiful job of starting Phase 1. Iron Man 3 did a good job of starting Phase 2. And then you had, I'm blanking. Ant-Man ended Phase 2. Help me out in the comments, guys. I honestly can't remember which one was what started Phase 3? Civil War? No. I don't know. I'll look it up and get back to you on that. But as I was saying, we can kind of dive more and more into Black Widow and really kind of do a review on it, and then we're going to break it down as well. So here's my review. Solid 8 out of 10. No question about it. I give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. I can't go any higher than an 8.5, and I really can't go lower than an 8. I can't say it's a 9, but I could say it's an 8. I can't go any lower than that. Genuinely, it did what it needed to do, and that's why I enjoyed it. Civil War was the first one. Okay. I was like, what? And that was another thing is you kind of see the different dynamics of what happens post Civil War. And we see that with Ross. We see that with Black Widow and responding to that. I love that opening scene where they think that she's onto, or they think that they're onto her and that she's in that building. And she calls him and is just like, "You're not gonna find me." Like, it, dude, come on. So that kind of allows us to see where, yes, Civil War. I just said that you must be watching a few minutes behind there, dude. Thank you though. Or I'm a few minutes behind on where it coming to me. So, anyways, so Black Widow really allows us to dive into everything going on post Civil War. It kind of, to compare it, it's kind of reminding me of um where Bad Batch is right now, post Order 66. And we get to see different elements that we never got to see off screen. Like the way that people react when they see Natasha Romanoff, who knew her before she was an Avenger. And then like, well, you're a big bad Avenger now. Come on. Just go get your Quinjet, go get your big Avengers jet and do what you gotta do. And I'm like, guys, it's not that easy. She's on the run. She even says at one point, the Avengers are divorced. Like, they're broken up. And I really like the family vibe because she says toward the end, and I know now there's going to be some spoilers, not really major yet, so don't turn away if you haven't seen it. But she says at the end, like, now I have two families. And I really enjoyed seeing the dynamic and the growth throughout this movie. And the writing was phenomenal. The casting was perfect. The writing was perfect. Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova was amazing. Her calling out Natasha on the way that she lands and whips her hair back and whatnot, and then does it in the scene and goes, "Ugh." I'm like, that. Yes, that's perfect. And it's just, she's that perfect character who we get to see time and time again, and it dives into who these characters really are, and we get to see and meet Yelena as the next Black Widow in a different way. And that is one of the coolest parts about this, is you get to kind of understand where she's at. You get to understand what is happening and where things are going to go. And I love that. It allows us to dive in deeper because we don't have another choice. We need to get in deep and undercover and see the Red Room and go from there to really understand more and more about every little bit, which is amazing. That's why I love this movie. That's why I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. For those of you who might not agree with me, you might think that it's better. Yeah, there are a ton of things that are right about this movie. There's no denying that. This movie definitely was a great movie. They did a good job. I can't say great. They did a good job of adapting certain characters into the MCU, and I'm going to get into that too. But and this is going to be the first biggest spoiler. The biggest reason why I can't give it a 9 and I definitely can't give it a 10, is Taskmaster. Taskmaster was a very underused, underappreciated villain in this movie. That's pretty much the reason why I took a point and a half off. That's pretty much the reason why I believe that this isn't the true version of Taskmaster. And here's the thing. So here's a little theory that I have. And I don't know how many people are going to see this. I don't know if this theory is going to be huge, but here is my Black Widow theory. Here is what I truly believe is the truth. Dreykov did not have Taskmaster before his daughter, but he knew of a Taskmaster. He knew that there was someone out there who could do this and was that villain, was that person. And then his daughter dies, or doesn't die, but gets blown up and nearly dies, needs to be saved with an implant. And he realizes that he can take on that persona and use the microchip that he had to implant in his daughter, in the base of her skull, to create a icon that made the Red Room as scary as possible. We see the technology that Taskmaster uses. We know that the true Taskmaster doesn't need that because he is truly someone who can just be completely manipulative in the way that he can just copy any fighting style as long as he sees it and watches it. And I believe that they changed Taskmaster because this isn't the real Taskmaster. First of all, obviously, we have not seen the last of Antonia. The widows who were saved go off and take her with them, because at the end of the movie, obviously, she doesn't die, and there's really only one main character that does, and that's the villain. That's Dreykov. So yes, big spoiler. And the way that I can see this playing out more is some other villain using the same technology or similar technology to what Dreykov used to control his widows. And then that becomes even more. And then we get to see more of Yelena. And then we get to see more of this. But do we truly believe that this guy came up with Taskmaster on his own? I don't think so. And one of the biggest reasons why I say I don't think so, why I think that he kind of stole the idea, is because he manipulated the entire world for years. And he would have continued to manipulate the world long after the Red Room was destroyed, or long after even his death. He probably had contingencies in place of how he could stay alive if that was the case. So maybe I haven't seen the last of them. But truly, I feel that as we move forward in the MCU, we're going to see another Taskmaster, a true version of Tony Masters. I don't know why I want to keep calling him Terry. Anthony Tony Masters. I think this solely for the reason that there could be a lot of different ways that they could bring Taskmaster in. And he could be a great villain for a Spider-Man movie. He could be a great villain in Hawkeye. That they could easily bring him back and bring in the true Taskmaster. It's almost like he was locked up and they used him, the Red Room used him to figure out how he could be manipulated and then use technology to then manipulate his daughter. Because obviously, like, there had to be some form of contingency in place for widows that left. And we know this because obviously Natasha left at one point. So I'm guessing that this was not the first run-in that anyone's ever had with Taskmaster. And that when she blew up the building, that wasn't the first time that Dreykov came up with the Taskmaster idea. I have a feeling that he stole that idea in some way, shape, or form. Will that ever come to fruition? Who knows? We're going to talk Friday about how that might affect the comic, the fact that they changed it up completely. I really don't think we saw an increase in Flag Smasher, and so I don't think that when Carly Morgenthau was the Flag Smasher, there was a decrease in that book. But we'll kind of see where it all goes, and we'll obviously wait the week for it to be out and see if the book plummets, see if it kind of just stays the same or if it goes up. I mean, it could easily get an increase because people are like, whoa, what's going on here? But yeah, it's one of those things where, again, I can't give it a 9. I didn't like what they did with Taskmaster. And the biggest thing is I was okay that they changed the character. I was not okay with how little they used the character. I was really hoping for a Taskmaster versus Black Widow end fight scene, and that was that. We got a piece of that. We got a Black Widow who found out who it was and was like, oh my God, I need to apologize, which shows how much heart Natasha has, and that's who she is in the MCU. But could we have had more Taskmaster beforehand? Yes. Did we want more Taskmaster? Yes. Did we need more Taskmaster? Hell yes. But was this movie a good movie, even with how little Taskmaster was used? Yes. And that's the dilemma that I ran into reviewing this movie. Is it's an amazing movie, and yet there's this thing looming overhead that you're like, but it could have been better. Not that it was horrible and it could have been great, but it's that one little thing. If there was just one more scene that could have been better. I don't know what that scene would have been, though, in all honesty. I mean, let's think about it. And I'll get more into this in the breakdown, and maybe I'll even just start the breakdown right here. But if we think about the scenes the Taskmaster's in, we get introduced to Taskmaster. That's the very first scene that we really see who Taskmaster is when they call the Taskmaster protocol when Yelena defects. Then you see I'm just going to say her. So yeah, let's just do the breakdown. Spoilers ahead. I'm not even. We're going with all the spoilers now. If you want to turn back and come back at the 30-minute mark, that's where you can come back to. That's where we'll be at. So Taskmaster ends up being Antonia. Antonia being the daughter of Dreykov. So I'm just going to say her for Taskmaster, because I don't just want to keep repeating Taskmaster. If I say it over and over again, I'm going to end up screwing it up at some point. It's like a tongue twister. Taskmaster, Taskmaster, Taskmaster. Anyways, as we continue on this path and we see more Black Widow style. Hey, what is up? How's it going?
It's going, man. Just working on stands. Got a little caught up in it.
All good? Where are you at?
Oh, I'm at work.
Oh, nice. So for those of you who don't know who Rad Hulk Dad is, you got to go check him out on Instagram. Absolutely phenomenal. Makes some really cool stuff and does some awesome logo work. So go check him out. So I just did my review of everything Black Widow, and I basically said it's an 8.5 out of 10. And the reason that I'm bringing it down is because I didn't like how little Taskmaster was used. And then that little half point is because they changed up who it was. What would you say?
All right. Overall, I mean, I feel like I hyped it up a little bit too much for myself. Just because I was waiting so long to like get another dose of Marvel, and I don't know. I think it was an odd choice, especially one of their better actresses being Taskmaster.
Yeah.
Like that actress has got some range. Yet she played mutilated girl under mask. I don't know. It was just odd to see that when seeing what we know of Taskmaster. I mean, it also changes up the abilities too,
Yeah.
because it wasn't exactly a reflex.
Yep.
It was more of a electronic thing, which I guess makes more sense in the realm of Black Widow having to beat that up. But like, this is a Spider-Man recurring villain.
Yeah.
Like this guy is in everything. Yet you're just gonna put her up against Black Widow. So it makes me think that this is not the real Taskmaster.
100%. And that's what I just said too, was we see Dreykov saying, I have a foothold and my hand in everything around the globe. And you see all the widows that he has on every single continent. And it makes me believe that when his daughter went through what she went through, getting her face blown off, he was like, oh, I could use the Taskmaster's ability, make it into a technology-driven and mind control-driven thing, and use that as my own personal hunting, whatever you want to call her. She's not really an android at that point, but she's not really.
I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah, he kind of reminded me of from X-Men. I think it was X-Men 2, Stryker's son. What he basically did to him.
Yeah,
where she's still human, but she's also a machine as well.
Not man, not machine. Burnt, crisp lady. With microchip in back of my neck that will make me look like a man.
Honestly, when they first plugged the USB into Taskmaster's mask, I was like, oh, please don't make Taskmaster a android. Please don't make it a robot. Like,
I'm like that. Oh, I guess it's half. I mean, I don't know. I found it. I don't know. The only thing that really saved me in that movie was, now I'm blanking on his name. Basically Russian Captain America.
Red Guardian.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Red Guardian was like my saving grace because, come on, we know who played him.
Oh, for sure. And
that was a perfect role for him.
Yelena Belova, like you nailed it. Every scene she was in, she kind of stole the spotlight from Natasha, which is exactly what you want when you're trying to build a new character.
Exactly.
And they were trying to make something that could be translated further along the line. Exactly. And she had such great one-liners. Like the scene in she goes, no, that's not what happened, or you don't get that. you see what happens in the Red Room is they do all of this, and he goes, no, 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 and she goes, oh, and I was just about to get to the fallopian tubes. I was laughing so hard at that.
Oh God. You don't need to talk to me like this. You don't need to get so technical. And I'm just like, oh, I think you do.
Yeah.
Talk about the
And
tubes.
Every little bit of the scenes with all four of them involved were just,
Yeah.
it was that dysfunctional family style of Marvel that you want to see more of.
Exactly.
What kind of stood out to you?
I don't know. I was kind of intrigued at first. I'm like, because like they didn't really like explain as to. I mean, they showed cameras of Stryker or not Stryker. He's the same freaking person, but he really is. Like you nailed that. He's essentially the same person.
Yeah.
But oh no, there's not a lot that really blew me away.
Okay.
There was a lot of times where I was kind of shocked by how like absolutely violent that thing was that she just survived. And I'm like, you're not like superhuman, remember?
Yeah.
I know you hang out with them.
Yep.
But come on.
Yeah, I was a little shocked at how much of a beating she took.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, this lady just fell off of a building
Yeah.
and bang, 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 got ping ponged. And I'm just like, no. You see that other widow right there? That's a broken leg. That's a death.
Yep.
How you just fell, you're dead.
Yep. She caught herself.
That makes no sense.
Every time she caught herself a little bit.
She's like, oh, okay. I know how to fall. I learned how to fall when I hung out with the Hulk, and we hung out in the Hulk bed.
It was kind of like this scene. He's going to do a superhero landing and then just fails.
Oh, that was disgusting. It was fun. It was fun. It was nice to see one again, but it definitely wasn't their blockbusters.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it was definitely story driven.
Yep.
But out of like their action sequences and stuff like that, I mean, Widow has done crazier things. And just two of okay, so he has the ability to essentially, or she has the ability to copy even the moves of Spider-Man. Not the powers or not the strength, but the moves. How are you going to tell me that she tripped you up with the freaking grappling hook? Especially after like 6 or 7 times dodging something that he or she could not have seen.
So, and that's why
that one thing.
That's why it leads me to believe that it's not the real Taskmaster.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like it just seems like a copy.
Taskmaster would never turn his back on the mission, and the mission wasn't truly
his
Black
powers
Widow.
Won't work without it.
Yeah, like
if you even want to call them powers.
Yeah, and like truly. Oh, you're cutting in and out. Can you hear me? You're frozen and we can't hear you.
I'm getting.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I had to get out of the area. but yeah, I wanted to really like it. I mean, is it just me, or did anyone else see like this is clearly a Ruffalo impersonator that gets her stuff?
Yep.
He looked just like him,
Yeah.
just tanner. But yeah, I mean, overall, uh, I mean, it was good. It was a fun thing to watch. I
For
mean,
sure.
especially after all this time. But like, and it also was a very good way to put her character to bed because
Yeah.
let's be honest, everyone else pretty much got a send off,
Yep.
and this is her send off.
Yeah. No, I
A
completely
little
agree.
delayed, and we wouldn't have ever known who what's her Miss Dreyfus' character at the end
Yeah.
because she was introduced in uh, Falcon and Winter Soldier, but wasn't supposed to be. She was supposed to be introduced in Black Widow. No one was supposed to know who she was
Yeah.
when that was released, and so
Which would have been interesting if the one was
it's definitely
released
a
before the
Thunderbolt
other,
setup.
but
It's definitely a Thunderbolt setup.
oh yeah, 100%. And when I was at the movies, the guys next to me, we were talking beforehand about Venom and the comics and the movie, and then also Falcon Winter Soldier and like everything going on with Black Widow and what we thought was going to happen and what Loki, like we were just going hard on everything MCU related. And it was amazing because you kind of got to see all of these different things and all these different viewpoints. And one of them actually said when Valentina comes in and goes, "Here's your next mission," is the next mission to recruit him, or target? Is the next target to recruit him, or is it to try to take him out? And I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like they could play it either way. Obviously, when Clint first went after Natasha, they were enemies. They had fought before.
What was that? Go ahead. On what?
So we kind of see all this other stuff kind of happening and going on and everything. And it allows us to dive deeper into the dynamic of Black Widow and the Black Widow moniker too.
Maybe you don't have the stuff. That's weird. Sorry, I'm talking to my coworker real quick.
No, you're good. So, anyways, guys, while he does that, I'll kind of continue with the breakdown piece and the whole breakdown of all of this being what it was. And as I was saying, like we didn't really get to see Taskmaster a whole lot. We saw Taskmaster at the beginning scene when they first initiate the protocol. We see the car scene on the bridge. We then see the tank scene or the armored personnel carrier scene in Budapest. And then we see a few more like minor scenes up until the end when she ends up fighting or revealing herself and then fighting the Red Guardian. And I feel like we were a little screwed over on how much Taskmaster we got, but
yeah, we were gypped.
Again, if they continue with Taskmaster later on, I feel like this will all kind of make sense. It will all kind of come full circle. If not, we got to see him on the big screen, and that was that. But then you have that family dynamic of an adopted family, one that was forced to be adopted, that no one's actually together, but it's kind of like for the greater good. And
for the greater good.
And you get to kind of see like the dynamic of that. And it's crazy to think that all of this is happening back in 1995. They're trying to figure out how to basically hijack the human brain to make it do whatever you want it to do. And I mean, lo and behold, it ends up being not Hydra, not
Who are you ordering from?
Shield trying to do this. It was
they're closed.
The whole the actual Soviet Union who was infiltrating everything. And it was kind of interesting to see a whole
We get
different
more pizza
side of
anyway.
everything. And you get to kind of balance that in the MCU. And I wonder if we'll go more with the Soviet side now. Is Valentina going to be more Soviet related? Is she going to be Hydra? Is she going to be Thunderbolts? Will we see Shield versus someone else besides Hydra in Phase 4? What do you think of that?
Okay.
No, you're good.
I mean, I want to say that it's leaning more towards Thunderbolts because they showed a lot of General Ross in that movie.
Oh yeah,
They showed a lot of him. I feel like they're going to show a little bit more of it in She-Hulk, where we're probably going to see a red She-Hulk before we even see a red Hulk. But I feel like it's all going to add up to Thunderbolts. I don't think Hydra is going to be really a thing anymore because I feel like they've already overused it.
yeah,
To think that at that point Hydra is still like not being monitored at all times would be ridiculous. I mean, plus we got. I mean, it was hard. So at first, where I was having issues trying to figure out where it was supposed to take place at the beginning, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is after the Accords. Cool.
yep,
So then we shot forward after her death, and in the post credit, the only thing I could think of them doing is Thunderbolts. I really don't feel like they can go any other direction because, I mean, Hydra has pretty much been wiped out. I mean, Captain America pretty much took that down, for the
yeah,
exception of maybe like, I mean, we've seen a lot of the syndicates actually. We saw AIM in was it the beginning of Ultron?
yep.
Which is hilarious to me because like you still haven't seen any of that. I'm like, did they just take out all of AIM then, or was this like a brief mission?
Yeah,
And I'm like, so I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, it's clearly a branch of the government, but I think you're right in saying what branch, and is it really the branch of the government that we're thinking it is, or I mean, I'm not too well versed with Thunderbolts.
Neither am I.
Just knowing that they're, I mean, I would say I say that they're the B team.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't,
Yep.
I just don't see there being anything more than an offshoot of that because they're not going to be the new Avengers. I don't think, at least. I mean, I feel like they've already built up enough for a new set of Avengers. So I feel like we're going to probably get a misunderstanding at some point, and then they're going to fight each other. And
Thunderbolts versus
so
Avengers.
it's gonna be Thunderbolts versus Avengers, and then Avengers are gonna clean house, and then they're just like, nah, we're not gonna kill you or lock you up. How about this? Let's hang out.
Yeah,
Let's fight bigger, fatter people. I mean, there's a lot of people that were involved in that Thanos situation that missed out on the Thanos situation.
yeah,
I'm really hoping to talk more about future stuff. I'm really hoping Multiverse of Madness really opens up us to the mutants
yep.
because I can't see it going anywhere else. I can't see any other way for mutants to get in this world
For sure.
other
And
than like a House of M thing going on.
yeah, and I'd hate always hearing people like, so where were the Eternals when Thanos was destroying half the universe? It's like,
They were napping, bro.
guys, they can't do it like the comics. Like you can't have 7 movies come out on the same exact day that all tie into each other. That's not that's just
It
fan
doesn't work.
service at that point, and it doesn't work because you're not going to get good movies. You gotta there's a process to this. It's not DC where they just throw it up on the screen and hope it looks good.
From what I understand about the Eternals, is they visited a long time ago.
Yep.
I mean, there's certain iterations where they were just slumbering under the planet, but they're interstellar beings.
Yep.
They're the basis of the Olympian gods, Cyrus, stuff like that. From what I understand, that's basically what they are. They're the inspirations for most of the pantheons.
Yep.
And that being said, that means they visited in early man, then left again, God knows where. And then this is them coming back after all of this crap happened.
Yep.
I mean, I'm assuming that they're untouched by the snap. But
I would assume so.
I'm assuming that's the reason they're coming back, because they probably sensed something like that, and they just had to make a beeline to the origins of the original snap, because it's a level of energy that they haven't seen, or it's the fact that, I mean, technically Thanos is an evil Eternal.
Yeah. I mean,
if you want to deep dive,
we do know that there's going to be a young Thanos in this movie. How big of a role he'll play is still unclear, but
he looks hilarious to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, how many planets did you bench to get to that physique after being like that? I'm just like, I felt like that was like a natural being, because I know Titan was the place that the Eternals essentially banished him to.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm interested. I'm actually really interested in Eternals, because I really don't know a lot about them, and it'd be interesting to see how that affects the further universe.
Yeah, and that was my
Widow wasn't my most exciting one. I really just wanted to see Red Guardian be an idiot, but and then after that, I mean, Harbor is just good in pretty much anything he is in, for the exception of the previous Hellboy. He was good. The story was bad, but
I enjoyed the story. I thought that it moved along nicely. I thought that there was a good vibe to it, I guess is the best way to put it. Where
which one are we talking about
now? Black Widow.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought that there was I thought there was a good vibe to the Black Widow movie. It really kind of moved along nicely. It definitely left a lot to be desired, but at the same time, I mean, we knew that it wasn't going to have a foothold on the MCU, and that's why I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
And I said this at the beginning, a lot of DC fans have been saying, well, Marvel, everything kind of ties together. I would love for them to do a true solo movie. And it's like, that's what this was. It probably won't have an impact on the MCU other than introducing a character. Kind of the same way.
That's the only thing it's going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually introduced several characters, because I would love to see Red Guardian go back in. I'd love to see that.
For sure.
I mean, he is a super soldier. He could be advantageous later on.
I would love to see him versus U.S. Agent.
I would love to see him, what the hell was it? The Super Soviet Society or something like that?
Yep. Something like that.
I thought it was funny that he essentially broke the bear's hand. That was a thing that I thought was hilarious, like, because that's who that guy was. The really big guy was the I can't remember, something like bear or something. That's all I got.
I didn't even realize that. Yeah, now that I'm thinking back on it, yeah, that's awesome.
And then they made the drop about the Crimson Dynamo, and I'm like, Russian Iron Man, And I'm like, thinking about it, I'm like, the only real Russians we actually have seen in the MCU, other than just now, was Iron Man 2, when we saw Whiplash.
Yeah, true.
And I'm just like, well, there's a lot of powerhouses on the Russian side, so that might actually be something that we could draw from.
For sure.
I mean, I thought it would have been hilarious for Red Guardian to show up in Endgame.
Multiverse.
Like, oh, there he is. I mean, they could have been there. We might not have known.
Yeah, multiverse could also be. It could introduce us to the alternate version of Cap, where he actually is part of Hydra, or I think there was also one where he was part of the Soviet Union too.
Yeah, yeah. I can't really remember. I know I had the issue at the time, but uh, the first appearance of Hydra, Captain America.
Okay,
But I can't remember. I can't. Yeah, I was pretty sure he was just undercover.
I think so.
Um,
But I mean, they could adapt it any way they want to. Really, they adapted
yeah,
Taskmaster any way they wanted to.
yeah, that's true. I mean, they have the liberty.
Yeah, and
I
as long as Kevin Feige's doing it,
Yeah, I'm
him and
pretty
Zack
happy with it.
Snyder can do no wrong. In all honesty, Zack Snyder's done a good job of adapting characters to his Snyderverse before Warner Brothers went and ended it, and Kevin Feige's done a phenomenal job of adapting well-known comic heroes and villains into the MCU without too big of a problem. I mean, yeah, there were some minor things like the Dark Elves kind of sucked, but I mean, there's only so much you can do at the end of the day to make um, a movie phenomenal, and there's different things that kind of end up happening throughout that time.
Yeah, I lagged out briefly. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. I was just comparing Zack Snyder and Kevin Feige as like those two big guys who kind of really can do no wrong when it comes to making these
No,
movies. But
I do think Snyderverse was a much better cut.
oh yeah,
I was very excited about the lanterns and that.
100%. What is up, John? Good to see you, buddy.
What up?
And John, you're kind of coming in at the very end because I'm actually heading back upstairs. I gotta get
Yeah,
some stuff
I gotta get
organized
back
and
to work
whatnot.
anyway.
So it was awesome to talk to you, and
Oh, you too.
we'll talk soon.
All right. You have a
See
good
ya.
one, man.
Yeah, you too.
Peace.
All right. So as we were talking about, just like a final little breakdown. One of the biggest things about this movie is that there are things that they could do further down the line in the MCU with everything that happened in Black Widow. Obviously, there's the Thunderbolts tie-in. Yelena Belova was never part of the Thunderbolts in the or in the comics. She was a part of AIM. She had a couple different team affiliations, but never Thunderbolts. So if that is who Valentina's working for, that would be different. That would be something that I wouldn't mind if Valentina was part of the Thunderbolts. I would find it interesting if she was part of AIM. I think that would be a cool way to go because, as he said, we really haven't heard from AIM since we had started, obviously, in Iron Man 3. Then we saw them again in the beginning of Age of Ultron. And then they kind of fizzled out. I don't think they basically went underground. And there's a bunch of different stuff that could happen with that. It will be very interesting to see where all of that goes. The mind control and the widows and the network of people across the globe who are widows, who are trained assassins, to topple, start wars, end wars, all of that without Dreykov at the helm will be interesting to see if they end up doing something more with that, which I feel they will. I'm sure there's going to be a Black Widow 2 focused on Yelena Belova and her future after Hawkeye, most likely, because we'll see Hawkeye at the end of this year in December. So with all that being said, thanks for lounging with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know this was not a normal time that we usually sit down and talk comics, but it was just kind of a spur of the moment thing where I was like, hey, anyone free for a quick live stream? And we just kind of sat down and started talking and whatnot. So thank you so much for joining us. And as always, Loungers Unite, and thank you for lounging. Have a great afternoon. I hope to hear from you guys on Instagram. If you're catching this on the replay, please make sure to go back, or if you're catching this at the end, please make sure to go back and watch the replay. And if you caught this on the replay, thank you so much for coming to the channel and watching this with us. It has been an absolute pleasure. whether you guys are live and seeing this when we're doing it or at any other time, it is awesome because we get to have those conversations. Leave a comment down below. If you have not already liked this video, make sure to smash that like button. And then if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you subscribe, because that is one of the biggest things that we can do to support the channels that we love. I'm subscribed to, I don't even know how many comic channels that I watch on the regular, just to kind of stay in the loop with everything going on in comics. It's so much fun to do. And I hope to hear from you guys again very soon. And if you ever want to join us live, you are more than welcome to. Just message me on Instagram and I can send you the link to join us. And that is all. Thank you so much for watching. Let's check out that intro one more time, because you know what? It is phenomenal. And I'm very excited to have this amazing intro by C-List E-Man. Check him out on Instagram. See you soon. Before I head out officially, make sure to come back and check out our Loki videos this week. All the week leading up to Loki coming out on Wednesday, I'm going to be talking about who I think is in the castle. So make sure to check that out. I can't wait to talk about that. I am so excited to talk about 3 different theories, and we will see where all of that goes. Have a great afternoon. See you soon.